oil change on a Mazda CX50. This is the CX50 2.5 liter non-turbo. I don't have the turbo. I think the procedure is probably the same, except that it may take maybe a little more oil. You have to look in your manual. Anyway, you want to drive it up on some ramps or use jacks. Whatever you do, make sure you got chock blocks not only on the back but on the front of each tire on both sides. I don't know where I got these, but that's what they are. These are the tools you're going to need. You need an 8mm nut driver. That's this. If you don't have this, you could use an 8mm and a socket wrench. Probably not a regular wrench like that, because there's little screws on here, I'll show you. But anyway, you need an 8mm nut driver. You need a 17mm wrench or a socket. That's these right here. Alright. You need a oil filter wrench, which I'll show you when I get under there. You need your 020. Okay. 5 quarts. I'm using the cheap stuff because I'm going to do another oil change in another 1,000 miles. Okay, this is my first oil change. I'm doing this at 800 miles to get all the initial break-in particulate out of there and any products of initial manufacture on this engine. So I'm going to get that out in the first oil change right now, and then I'm going to do another one and 800 to 1,000 miles. So I'm not really worried that this is like a Walmart kind of oil. It's only going to be in there for 1,000 miles, and then I will go to Mobil 1 or Pennzoil Platinum or something better. But anyway, you need your 5 quarts of 020. You need your filter. Okay, if you want to pause, that's the filter you need. It's a Mazda filter. You need a funnel, preferably a bigger one. That's what I got right there. Okay, and that's where it goes. I'll show you this in a minute. You need a waste oil drain pan. The 17 is to pop the drain plug off underneath. Alright, and the 8mm is for this little access door. When I get under there, I'll show you, but I took it out here because it's probably easier to show you while I'm not under the car. I actually have a pan and I can't find it. So if you use this, you got to be real quick because it's going to come out fast and you're liable to spill some. So don't use this, use the pan kind. It looks like a, I'll leave a link, but it's basically a big pan, so when it comes out it doesn't go flying everywhere. And let me show you this. Okay, this is the oil filter wrench. When you get under there, you just kind of grab your oil filter and just kind of wrench it loose. It's not on there real tight. Pull this one out, I'll show you. So it'll be, I'll show you when we get under there, but it'll be under your car, attached to your engine. Just kind of grab it like that and just kind of work it loose. Now when you go to put this back, the new one back on, don't use this because it's strong enough that those teeth can puncture a hole in the side of that if you squeeze too hard. So these are best used just to get it off. Another thing I'll show you before I get under the car, because it's easier to show you now. This is the new filter I'm going to put on. Just dump some oil in there, fill it up. If you don't want to do that, don't do it. Some people debate whether you should or shouldn't. One thing for sure is not that little bit's not going to hurt anything, so just fill it up with oil. Another thing, you see how that rubber gasket is kind of dry? You stick your finger in some oil and rub it around this. Otherwise, if you don't, when you go to put this new one back on and start twisting, if it's dry, that little gasket could get bunched up and come out of that seal there. Alright, so you don't want any friction on that. You want it nice and lubricated with some oil first. One more thing about this. When you pull off the old oil filter, make sure that the gasket is completely intact on the old one, and then look into your engine up underneath. Take a paper towel, wipe that whole area clean where this is going to seat. Make sure there's no particulates in there or no pieces of oil, the old gasket or anything in there. Get that all off. Otherwise you could have something like stuck here that holds this up that creates a gap. Then you won't get a good seal. Alright, so I'm going to get under there now. That's the passenger tire. Okay, the driver side tire. And here's that little door I was talking about. It sits like that. And you got the one little 8mm here and the other one over here, and you just unscrew them and this pops right off. That's the oil filter right there. Right here, that's your drain plug. Pop this off. It's probably going to splash right in my face, so you could laugh at me in the comments. The filter's off, so not too much came out. Now I got to take the drain plug off here. There. It's going to go like that for a couple of minutes. Go do something else for maybe 5 minutes. Here's one more thing to think about. This is the oil drain plug. You want to make sure that that crush washer is there. Now I pulled this one off, and it's very thin. It doesn't look like it's there. I couldn't get it off with my thumb. I got in here with this and just kind of put a little pressure there. There is a crush washer. I think when they painted this car, they must have painted over something in this part of the nut flange here. The bolt flange got painted and sealed to that crush washer. So it wasn't moving and it seemed like it wasn't there. But anyway, it is there. You want to make sure you got a crush washer there. If you don't have one, get one, because when you tighten this down, that forms the seal between this drain plug and your oil pan, so you don't have an oil leak. I just dumped some oil in there. Okay. I'm going to go around this real good, just to oil that up. Because when you go to put this back on, you start twisting. If that's dry, it's liable to bunch up and twist right off of here. Then you don't have a seal on your new oil filter. Alright, that's where the oil filter goes. Alright, I popped off the old one. Now remember, I was saying this is the surface here. You got to make sure that's clean and doesn't have any part of the old oil filter black rubber gasket stuck on here. You don't want any pieces of that on here. It shouldn't be. If it is stuck on there, that's probably bad. It probably means you got your engine too hot on the rubber fried. But anyway, just make sure this surface is clean. Okay, and then we'll put the old oil the new oil filter back on. Over here is the drain plug. All right, we're going to put that back in now. Just listen. I'm going to turn it backwards first. Hear that little click? Now you can go forward. That means you're in the right thread. Listen, I'll go backwards. Hear it? There's one. All right, that's the right threads. I can go forward. I'll do it again. Hear that click? That means you're in the right correct thread, so you don't cross thread it. Now we'll go forward and put it in. Never ever over tighten that. Please never use an impact gun on this unless you're really good and careful with one And if you're that good, then you don't need my video, you know. But if you're not real good with it, don't use an impact gun here. It's not saving you time. You'll over tighten this. This is why those drive-through oil change places, they always screw these up because they're in a hurry to get more cars through. They use an impact gun here and they blast this thing home and then screw up the threads on this. So it's on there, it's fine. You drive home, think nothing of it, then the next time you go get an oil change, okay, they tell you, oh, your oil drain plug is stripped, you need a new oil pan or whatever, you need a heel coil in here. So do yourself a favor. Do not use an impact wrench there. You don't want to tighten the hell out of this. All right, so that's there. I'm tight now. Just give it like another quarter turn, not even like an eighth turn. Okay, that's all you need. That's it. All right, that crush washer is squeezed enough. I'll go back in and check the torque spec and I'll torque this tube. Now we're gonna put the oil filter on. Okay. Get it close to where it's gotta go. Same thing, we'll go backwards a little bit. There, you hear that click? That means I just fell into the correct threads. Now I can go forward. You don't have to do that, but that's something that helps me always know I'm in the right thread so I don't cross thread. Okay, so now it's in. Hand tighten it pretty good. Back with a paper towel so I can give this a good turn. But hand tight only. Alright, that's good and hand tight. That's it. Now I'll show you how to put that cover back on. It's pretty easy. Hopefully you can see that. See, it kind of like partially slides in inside here. You go too hard, he'll strip it. Alright, I'm done under here. You can get out. Alright, now we put the oil back in. It says it should take 4.8 quarts. So I'm gonna put, this is 5-quart bottle here. I'm gonna put about 80% of this in here. Check it again. See how, if it's close to the second line on the dipstick. I don't want to go too high yet because the car is up on ramps. So I'm going to get it just above the bottom line. I'll roll it off the ramps, check it again, get it closer, start it, shut it off, and then top it off. It's like halfway between the first dot and then the upper second dot. There, you could kind of see it there. So that's good enough for me to roll it off these jack stands. And then when it's level, I'll check it again. Top it off, then I'll start it, run it for a few minutes, shut it off, double check it, and then we'll be done. Okay, it's 819 miles. First oil change, break-in oil change. We're going slowly off the ramps. Very slowly. Okay. the ramps. 819 miles. We'll shut it off now. Check the oil again now that we're on a flat ground. The reading was off a little because it was up on ramps. And I figured it would be. We were just below the second line, the upper line, and we gave it just a little more. See that? That's the low minimum, and that's the max. So you can see we're right at that max. And that's it. Now we're done. Then back in goes that. See, 020. That's back in. See.